Afternoon, everyone. I'm going to get going right away. Just to say there might be some more people attending, so just bear with me while I let people in. But thank you very much for coming. I promise to keep to time. I'll make sure that we finish 12:30 UK time. I think most people are in the UK. And the topic that we're going to look at is kind of going beyond the survey, so looking at some more people some more people more people are joining, some more tools and some kind of tech-based tools that we can start using for research. So as I start to introduce myself, I will just keep an eye on anyone that needs to come in. But my name is Gideon. I think I know quite a few of you. Some of you I don't, but for those of you I don't, I am a market researcher and I run a business called Customer IQ, which now specializes in helping startup founders and startup teams to do customer and market research. I've been working in research for a long time and still enjoy it. Which is good. So the reason behind kind of helping startups is really kind of based on two truths, if you like. Firstly, I find startup businesses are very often doing something good. They might be disrupting a traditional kind of industry. They might be innovating. They might be solving a real, genuine problem that no one else is solving. So that's great. On the other hand, the other undeniable truth is that many startups fail, and they fail very early into their kind of journey. And that, for me, if you add those two things together, you know, it's kind of, you know, presents this kind of a real lack of fairness. You know, new businesses that are doing something good, but run the risk of failing very early. So I guess if we dig into why those businesses might fail, and this data comes from CB Insights, which has done some work on kind of startup failure, and I've highlighted a lot of these seem to me at least kind of relate to market understanding, customer understanding. So that's why I'm kind of in this space, trying to kind of help those startups at early stage through to when they're off and running and up to scale up stage, to understand their customers, to do their market research, so they can improve that decision making and hopefully find more rates of success. So that's the mission. Long and short, high quality customer research and market insight that's designed specifically for startups. It's a frustration of mine, it has been for a long time, that the research industry is very much kind of designed for big businesses who have the big budgets, and it doesn't have to be that way. We can do research that's much more cost effective, and that's still really efficient and valuable, but doesn't cost the earth. But it's not about making research cheap. It still needs to be good, right? We still need to have high quality data to make good decisions. So that's it in a nutshell. So today, the kind of main theme for today really is about picking the right tool for the right job. The way I positioned this kind of half hour was thinking beyond the survey. A lot of people think about running surveys when they think about doing research, and for good reason, but it's not necessarily the right tool for the right job. So that's very much the message I would like you to kind of leave with, thinking about picking the right tool. Surveys are brilliant for lots of reasons. I'm not knocking surveys. I use surveys extensively. They are fantastic when you want to sort of size up something, when you want to measure something. They're very, very cheap to set up. You know, the cost of entry, if you subscribe to SurveyMonkey or many other survey tools, you know, it's very accessible. They're very easy, intuitive to set up. You don't need to kind of have extensive training necessarily to kind of do it, and they're very quick. You know, once you've sent out a link and you start getting responses, it's extraordinarily quick to get back your data. On the other hand, some of the things perhaps we're not thinking so much about when we're you know, deciding to do a survey is that they kind of necessitate large sample sizes, right? Because a few responses to a survey isn't enough to give you that kind of confidence in the rigor and the robustness of the data that you're collecting. and then linked to that, so you need a large sample, and that the size of the sample is another topic entirely, but it kind of depends on who the audience is. But the quality is always key. So it's not just about getting as many people to fill it in. You have to think about who those people are. Are they the right kind of, do they fit with your target audience? Are they the right person, but are they also engaged with the survey itself? Which, you know, are you writing relevant questions that are easy to answer, that have good flow? You know, so sample and data quality are really important. Linked to that, question wording can be quite disastrous. If you are collecting data and some of your questions are too ambiguous, then your data will just contain ambiguity, and you can't make good decisions on data that's not clear and has ambiguity in it. And they're also not very good at collecting kind of nuance and detail. Now you can use open-ended questions on surveys that are great, but even then, it's not. If what you're looking for is kind of the detail and the nuance and really to dig into a topic, then they're not necessarily the right approach. Interviews may be better for you, or focus groups. So surveys good for some things, not so good for other things. So what other things are available to us, to startups and to founders? I'm going to look at excuse me. I'm going to look at 3 specific tools and do a quick demo of these tools today. So bear with me. I'll be sort of jumping out of these slides and into web pages. So it might be a bit clunky, but I'm going to run through 3 tools. SparkToro, which is a really clever tool that's based on kind of real consumption data and is very useful if you want to start to understand how to target your target audience, you know, may be helpful with kind of go to market. Qualzy is an online qualitative platform, but it's not simply which happens a lot, is like taking people into a Zoom room and holding a focus group. That's one way of doing online qualitative research, but this platform and many others similar to it, but this is kind of my preferred one, kind of utilizes what's great about the internet, and I'll come on to that in more detail in a moment. And then we have an AI tool, which is I'm testing this out at the moment, AskMore, which is basically a kind of chatbot interview interface. So you prompt the platform with what you're trying to find out, you invite people to take part, and it's kind of like a AI chatbot that does the interviewing itself, which I guess in theory frees up a lot of your time. But we'll have a look at that as well. I don't know if anyone's familiar with any of these tools, but let's start with SparkToro. So this is a good tool. It has a free option. I only have the free option, so I can't tell you too much about the paid option. It was created by a guy called Rand Fishkin, who some of you may have heard about. He's kind of SEO guru. He founded a big business in the US called Moz. And what it does, it uses real kind of consumption data, so that you can, you know, what surveys don't do, obviously, is collect kind of behavioral data. They're collecting claimed data. Often we might be using surveys for understanding, like how to target people. You might be asking questions about what kind of media do they consume. But the problem with that is, not least, it's claimed, so people are telling you what they do. That's not necessarily the same as what they actually do. But also the way that media is these days, it's so fragmented, and there's such a proliferation of digital media, it would be impossible to capture all of that in a survey. You can imagine you'd be asking someone 100 questions to get really into that. So it uses kind of keyword search data, it uses clickstream panel data. So it's those are people who are willing to have their internet kind of behavior, traffic data kind of sold, so that they subscribe to a panel, and that kind of monitors their behavior, and then that data goes off and gets used. And they also use social data. So it's quite a clever tool. I'll just jump into it hopefully now. Hopefully you can see that. I'll make that a bit bigger. So this is kind of the dashboard. The way it works is you can input kind of search terms here. So there's, I hope you can read that. This says, so what you're looking to do is kind of understand a particular audience. So in this example, and I need to be careful because I've only got 5. I'm on the free platform, the free plan. So I've only actually got 5 searches. So I can do one if anyone's interested in a particular one. Like we could try one live, but I put this one in earlier. So I'm imagining I'm a founder of a food business that's specializing in sorry, someone's just coming in, specializing in providing street food. So I'm interested in people that search for the term street food, obviously. The other ways of doing that is you can look for people who visit specific websites. And if you're on the paid version, you can search for people who have a particular word or phrase in their social media bio. So that's not available on the free one. So street food, excuse me, people that are searching for street food. Now you can see immediately this has a kind of skew towards US websites. So that's something to bear in mind, but it gives you a little bit of demographic information here. It gives you some of the most closely associated websites based on affinity. So this affinity score, essentially, the higher it is, the closer that website's audience is to the audience that you're looking at. And then it gives you kind of volume as well of keyword searches. So this could be used for SEO, but there are lots of other tools that could be too. But this is, I guess this helps you kind of understand a little bit about this particular audience and where they hang out, what websites they might visit. There's lots of other stuff you can do on the free version. So this is new. It looks a bit daunting when you first see it because it's kind of bubbles and charts. But essentially what this is telling us is based on these websites listed below, kind of where they sit in terms of size, so the volume of traffic on the vertical axis, and the affinity score on the horizontal axis. So the affinity, remembering the affinity is kind of, think of it as the kind of how close that audience matches to your audience that you're looking for. And obviously then, so what you're, then you've got the scale, the size of the bubble, I should know this, the size of the bubble relates to, I'm not sure, come back to you on that. But essentially, so if I look over here, foodandwine.com has a good number of website visitors, kind of around about 8-9 million a month, 8.8 million visits a month, and it has a very high affinity score with my audience. So if I was thinking, where would I want to promote my business, or where would I want to create maybe some partnerships or some content, foodandwine.com might be one of those. But on the other hand, foodandwine.com is a massive website. How am I going to get interested? How am I going to generate some interest in that for my business? So what it has down here is some hidden gems, which are quite useful because they're kind of lower, but not insignificant numbers of website visitors. You've got thousands, hundreds of thousands of visitors here, but they might be ones that are more appropriate. So that's quite useful too. Scrolling down gives you a kind of broad sense of where your audience is in terms of platform. So this audience isn't too dissimilar to kind of the regular kind of internet audience. But further down here, this is I think really useful. Kind of gives you as opposed to websites, it gives you the kind of social accounts that might be useful for you to kind of follow, engage with. This gives you a good sense of who might be out there influencing your audience, and how you might then, who you might target to kind of connect with that audience. And then we've got some keyword data down here as well. So there's a lot here. It's worth kind of spending a bit of time. You've got YouTube channels as well. So this is all available for free. There is no need to pay for this, and you get 5 searches a month, which may well be enough. I definitely would recommend having a look at this platform. It's SparkToro.com. It's very easy to set up an account and then start exploring. So that's one way of kind of understanding your audience and thinking about how you might target your audience. Let's look at the next platform. Conscious of time, this is a bit of a whistle stop, I'm afraid. So the next platform is very different. It's a qualitative research platform. This is my sort of go-to one. There are lots and lots of options. I like Qualzy because it has lots of functionality and it's not priced too high, so it's really cost effective. It's good value for money. You can hire out the platform for 3 days to do a qualitative project for something like £500-600. Depends on how many people you run through. The more people you put through it, the more it costs. But it's a very accessible way of doing qualitative research. So let's just have a quick look. Sorry, whoops. One thing I kind of think of these as kind of a deconstructed focus group, which might not make much sense. But if you think about a traditional focus group, you've got strangers coming into a room for maybe an hour and a half at some sort of central location. You may do it on a Zoom room. Within that hour and a half, you've got to get through all of those questions with those people. It's a real challenge, and it's a real challenge unless you have experience and skill of doing it, because you've got to get those people kind of working as a group. So they're a bunch of strangers, they don't know each other, and you're expecting them to kind of open up and be very honest with you about a particular subject. That's quite a skill, you know, and you have to do that in the first few minutes because you've got so much to get through. And then, you know, inevitably you've done your focus group, you come to do the analysis and kind of what have you learned, and you realize, oh, I should have asked that question, or why didn't I explore that topic in a bit more detail? So this platform allows you, it sort of spreads out that hour and a half over 3 days, or maybe 5 days, however long you want. And you can then create little tasks and activities for your audience to complete in their own time. They don't have to do it at a certain time. You're asking for them to do about half an hour a day, but that could be half an hour in one go, or it could be 10 minutes here and 5 minutes there. So they are in their own surroundings. They're very familiar, in a familiar kind of comfortable surroundings. So you don't have to kind of get over that barrier of being in a strange place with people they don't know. And you're allowing them to participate in their own time. So in that sense, it's a really much better experience for the participant. Therefore, I find, and I've used this platform countless times, I definitely found that participants are much more ready and open and honest. Feels like they're much more honest. They give a lot more. So I typically recruit people and ask them that I need you to do kind of half an hour a day for 3 days, hour and a half in total. And in reality, they do much more than that. And so you're getting a lot of value from the people that you're recruiting to do this. So I'll just jump in. It's a bit difficult to show all of this in one kind of video call, but I'll just give you a taster of what sorry, one second, of what it looks like. So it's a very sophisticated platform. This is a kind of back office, if you like. You've got lots of functionality here. I'll just show you the activities because that's probably the most interesting thing. It's taking a little bit of time to load, I think, because I'm sharing my screen and doing a video call. My laptop's not too good. Okay, so what I do, I would plan out my 3 days of activity, and within each day you do a kind of sequence of activities. Typically, I would start with, just tell me a little bit about yourself. This one is about buying cars, so people are very happy to kind of talk about their cars. We get them to kind of discuss a recent car purchase, and then as you go through day by day, you're kind of asking them to do different things. You can put stimulus in, you can ask them to review things. One of the activities on this was to show them a video of Cinch, you know, the online car purchasing platform, and just to get their feedback on what they think. You know, this project was designed to help a business that was kind of launching into this space. So in terms of tasks, there's lots of different types of tasks you can pick. I can't really show you too many here, but you know, you can have a pin task, so you can show them like an image of something, and they can pin dots on it, and a bit like pin the tail on the donkey, and they can add comments in particular places, so they can give you some very detailed feedback. You can do sorting exercises. You can ask them to upload video. You can do little video diaries. You know, I did one for a client that involved people going to a supermarket and doing a little video diary of their experience of buying a particular product. So that, and they were happy to do that, and it was really interesting to sort of see the wealth of experience, the range of experiences that came back. So lots of different formats. In terms of the responses, you get a good, eventually when it loads, you get a lot of detail. People are very forthcoming, because they're interacting in their own time. They're not necessarily, you know, doing it at the same time. So, but you can ask them to kind of comment, and it's a bit like social media. You know, people are then commenting on other people's posts, asking questions. As a moderator, you know, if you're in a focus group, then the pressure is on you constantly to ask the questions, to keep to time, to get through, to make sure people are contributing. It's a real skill. Whereas this, I find, is much more light touch. You know, you can dip in yourself and dip out and ask questions, ask probe, you know, for additional comments. Ed's got a question. Yeah, Ed. Qualzy itself, I don't quote me, have a look at the website. I believe it's about £500-600 to kind of rent out the platform for 3 days, but it depends on how many people that you add in. So for this particular project, I think I had about between 15 and 20. And this is really good because you can manage people this way. You can see who's done what tasks. You can see how long they've spent. So I ask for an hour and a half. I don't know if you can actually read this on the screen, but lots of people are giving me like 2.5 hours plus. So they are very engaged generally. And as I said, the moderator's job is important, but it's not such an onus. There's not such an onus on you as there would be if you were doing a live focus group, which is quite tricky. And I'm conscious this is not the best visualization and the best thing to share. So I'm going to come back out of this now. But if you have any particular questions about Qualzy or any other kind of qualitative platform, I'd happily answer those. We have got 4 minutes left. The last thing I wanted to look at is a platform called AskMore, which is AI, and you know, AI is impacting all of us in some way or another. I feel like I need to engage and look at these things and test them out and just see what the value is before kind of jumping in with both feet. So AskMore is an interview platform. Essentially, what you do is you prompt it, you brief it with what you're trying to find out. You recruit people to take part, and then the interface is like a kind of chat, WhatsApp style chat. So the bot knows what the outcome of the interview needs to be. It knows the kind of objectives and the key questions that you want to ask, and so it runs through those questions, but it's also responding to what people are saying. I could try and give you a quick demonstration. So this is a kind of mock interview I set up to ask people about their experience of market research. If anyone wants to take part in this, I can send you the link. So this is telling me about, can you tell me about your startup and your role within it? So I'm going to say I am a founder. I'm going to make something up of an accountancy firm. Okay, and then it's then going to provide me with questions relating to market research. I won't go into this, but it would take me on a journey, and you can ask it to kind of test out concepts, propositions. There's lots you can do here, and then once you get people responding, it gives you this is a demo version, so this isn't real people, but then so it gives you a kind of output of the conversation if you want to kind of dig into specific conversations, and then it will give you a summary as well of what the kind of main points of those conversations are. So that's it's reasonably cost effective. It runs on credits. You need to find people to take part, but actually the platform itself is pretty cheap. I haven't used this for any kind of paid clients yet, but I'm still kind of testing it out. But I think it's useful. I think as a startup founder, it might be something you deploy because it's going to save you a lot of time. You don't necessarily have to do those interviews. It might be something you do like as a hybrid. Maybe you would do some interviews yourself, but then ask a platform like this to kind of help you and kind of interview people. It could be you do some preliminary interviewing through this platform and then invite people to kind of a more full conversation, so you're not having to kind of do all of the interviewing yourself, if that makes sense. So there's definitely scope for this kind of thing, worth checking it out. Other free tools, I've put free with an asterisk because some of these actually are not entirely free, but they have a kind of freemium model. I'll share these slides out as well afterwards with the recording. So if there's anything on here that looks of interest, you can kind of explore. But I kind of categorize these free tools in terms of what they do, from data collection analysis, capturing trends, audience insights, that sort of thing. So the point being, there's lots of stuff out there that you can access pretty much for free. If you need any more assistance, any questions, any thoughts, anything you would like to ask, please do. You can get in touch with me by email or contact me through LinkedIn. I have a regular series of blog posts. The recordings to these webinars are available on YouTube. So there's a library of those building up, and what I'm trying to do each month is kind of take a particular aspect of research and demystify it a little bit, or offer some practical advice. So it might be worth checking out those. And I do have a course available if running your own research is something you want to sort of take on more seriously, more substantially, then there is a course available on the website. But I would suggest let's have a conversation first. Let's figure out if it's the right thing for you.